Good morning! Because I feel like we're like stalking our child, like watching them like a hawk. So today we're going to be going over dynamics and what is traumatic to a child and the way that we shift in between those dynamics. So let's start with the child. What is traumatic to a child? What may be traumatic to one child may not be traumatic to the other, and that's completely okay. That doesn't make any one less important than the other. It still requires the same approach. Let's talk about different environments that kids grow up in. So you're going to have duality to both. Let's say your parents are drinking every night. They're either going to be home or they're going to be out drinking every night. So the polar opposite to that, but still the kind of same environment, would be parents who are gone on trips or out to work often and not home. There's still an absence of parents there, just two different environments. One's a little bit more healthier than the other, still very much so the same. Arguments and fighting. The silent treatment would be the duality to that. Being treated poorly or being super spoiled. Okay, so like there's a wide difference, but so many similarities at the same time that create different traumas in a child that present themselves a little bit differently. Okay. So you pick your own duality, figure out your situation, and then figure out what would be the polar opposite of it. Okay. Finding out the polar opposite of it makes it a little bit easier looking at yourself. And there's not any shame here. Like the thing is, there's not one more right or wrong answer. It just is. Okay. So now let's go to schools. Why do they have school counselors? School counselors are there because kids need to talk to someone who will take them seriously. They need someone to talk to where their parent has not provided them an environment where they feel safe enough to share what they need to talk about. So the space that is being held for them comes with conditions, which isn't a safe space for any child to feel comfortable to talk in. Number 3, there is a very, I'd say probably about 15 to 25% of students need the school counselors there. So because they're in a situation at home where they need serious intervention for someone to step in and get them out of that situation. So I'm going to give you an example of my childhood growing up. My father used to make a joke when I would ask him if I was pretty, and he would reply back, yeah, pretty ugly. So that was actually very traumatizing for me as a kid. Like now that I'm older, I can kind of laugh about it. Like I get it. I have thicker skin. But I wish he would have made a point at coming up to me privately and saying, hey, was there anything more to that question? Is there anything going on at school? Because for me, I didn't feel like I had anyone to talk to at school. I didn't feel like I had anybody that I could talk to at home that was taking me seriously. Like when I was having issues, nothing was serious. And if you can't take your child seriously, it's a reflection of who you are inside. Okay, like, and I'm saying continue doing what you're doing, but make a point of taking your child seriously and maybe thinking a little bit deeper into the questions that they're asking you. Don't take it just for face value. And the reason why I say privately is because if my dad were to come up to me in front of a crowd and ask me if I was okay in that scenario, I would be more inclined to shrug it off and be like, yeah, no, I'm fine. It was nothing. So remember that every single time that you create, like, yes, you're creating thick skin for that child to have, but you need to also understand the barriers you're putting in place in junction to that. You are going to have to break down those walls, because when a child feels like they can't talk to you and you're not taking them seriously, then they're just going to shut down. So let's switch it up a bit. Let's create a seriously dynamic approach to what we're already doing. And I don't know about you guys, but I tend to be really close with the company that I keep. Like Tammy, for example. I can tell you she keeps her water on the right side cabinet beside the fridge on the bottom shelf to the right, near the back. So this is just an example to the kind of detail that I want you to start keeping track of your child's behavior. And the reason that I say this is it's going to be the small things that you're going to want to notice for having that kind of eye for detail. Nonetheless, instead of saying you lack that skill, just say you're exhausted, and that's just not something that you're up to saying, because that's completely okay. I'm not going to shame you. Let's just be realistic about it though, because it's okay to be completely your energy to be depleted. You have a long day, you work, I get it. It does not make you a bad parent. Just don't say it like that to your kid, because they're not going to see it that way. We'll get into that later though. So a part of noticing behavior changes in your child is going to first start with your awareness on your own behaviors. So you're going to look for your triggers emotionally inside of you, even though you've suppressed them for all these years. This is what I mean by, like, this process is going to be very much so a lot to do with the parents in the beginning, because the parents are going to be directing. We need them to lead. We need parents to lead the child who is in resistance, who is in the rebellious stage, and you need to do it in such a way that it goes under the radar, their nose, you know? So you're going to look for your triggers. You're going to look for what triggers your motives. And then you're going to look at how your motives trigger your behavior to get your desired result, and if it's successful or unsuccessful. So in the beginning, it's just building your awareness around what you're already doing. Okay, so it's not a huge adjustment. Keep doing what you're doing, but build your awareness around it, okay? You don't have to share these motives. You don't have to share these triggers. It's simply to do with you, inside of yourself, getting to know who you are as an individual, okay? And then ask yourself one question. Would I like this if it were done to me? Okay? Once you figure out your triggers, your motives, and your behaviors, would you like it if it was done to you? So usually, if you don't like it, like if you're left feeling anything else but a hard yes, then it's going to be a no. And it's going to require a little bit of analysis. And usually it's just our approach that we're taking. Okay? Evaluate what it is about your approach that is making you feel off. I want you to take age out of it while you're assessing. The key components for success at this stage is taking age out of it while assessing, okay? If you in your heart feel like something is off about your approach, focus on how you would like to be approached, and then adjust how you're communicating based off the maturity of the mindset, not off of age that you're dealing with, okay? So get good with yourself, figure out your approach. So take age out of it, figure out your approach, get good with yourself, and then adjust that approach based off the maturity of the mindset you're dealing with, not with how you see that person as your child, okay? What have they shown you that they're capable of taking in? Treat them how they deserve to be treated, especially at this stage, because that's what they want. They want to feel understood. They want to feel seen. So give them that respect, your child especially. Treat them where they're at. I'm going to leave the first portion of this dynamics approach off. If you guys have any further questions, I'm going to need you to interact with my content. Okay? I love you very much, and ciao for now.